There has to be one out there. To our left, McKenzie right here by the wall, I believe. We'll let the crowd disperse a little bit. Go ahead, sir.
Hey Bobby, Stephen Bailey with the Post-Standard at Syracuse.com. Quick two-parter for you. What do you think of Dino Babers and his fit at Syracuse? Looking at his offense, what stands out to you about having to play that in week 2?
Well, Dino's done a great job everywhere that he's been. I remember way back when he was at the University of Arizona. He's been one of the guys that have changed some of college football with the tempo and the spread offense and how fast they go. It's going to be a great challenge for us to make sure that we can handle the tempo and get lined up and not make assignment errors in that game, because they really do execute fast. It's been impressive to me what he's done at all the places that he's been. He's a very successful guy. And I run into him out on the road recruiting, and you can see why he's been so successful.
Coach, we're going to swing to the right here, first row, back to Dan.
Coach, what can you say since your return to Louisville have been the biggest improvements, in your opinion, going into this season? Just what you've seen out of each of the units as a whole.
Well, the first year that we came in, we had a very, very talented group coming back. The problem was there was like 23 seniors, and I think we had 3 or 4 juniors that came out too. And we had a really good year. I was impressed. We had a couple of close games that we didn't win, Clemson, and for a while we had the lead against Florida State. But we won some big games that year too. One of my most memorable games always would be going to Notre Dame and beating Notre Dame there, just simply because growing up, my dad, my grandfather, my uncles, everybody were Notre Dame fans. So that was certainly a memorable win for us. Then they were all gone, and it was like, okay, we're starting over again. So last year we knew that there could be some growing pains and some struggles. But what I'm really excited about now is the actual depth that we do have. Standing here a year ago, I didn't know who our starting offensive line would be. We didn't have a starting quarterback name. So to be able to really understand the players that we have, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, throughout the entire depth chart, I think we can get better quicker. And we can make great strides when we get started in camp. I know we did over spring. I thought our coaches did a really good job of working hard on our individual players getting better, and then their position groups getting better, which made both our offense, defense, and special teams better.
Coach, we're going to go all the way to the back. Camera platform, go raise his hand so you can see.
Hi, Coach. Ted Goldberg with Tyler on Cable News in Syracuse. And looking back at Syracuse, the entire dome can get pretty loud for a lot of games. You've been there, you've seen what it's like. What are some of the challenges of playing in such a loud environment?
Well, it is loud. There's no question about it. Being indoor and the echoes, and the number one challenge there is to be able to communicate on offense, but also to be able to communicate on defense, and particularly at the tempo that they're going to play at. So third down always becomes an issue. You have to make sure that you have the ability to use silent cadence. I remember last year, or 2 years ago, when we played there, it was very loud. We played there my first year when I was at Louisville the first time. Another really good game. So you have to be able to communicate, deal with the noise, and not have it affect you. And it usually comes up on situations where there's pressure involved. The game being on the line, or third downs, or fourth down. So we have to prepare our players for that. We'll do some things in camp so we're able to communicate and deal with noise.
Coach, to your right, second row.
Which one has Lamar Jackson's emergence at quarterback meant to your offense? And this year, looking at both running and passing, what are areas where you'd like to see improvement?
That's a great question, because last year, he's a tremendous talent. He's got unbelievable ability with his legs and running and making plays. But the thing that stood out to me so quickly and early in practice was his ability to throw the ball, and his vision and the things he could see down the field and snap his wrist and get the ball there. What we did this spring is we kind of took the run game away from him and worked hard at making him throw from the pocket, making him keep his vision downfield when there's pass rush around him. Because like you said up here, there was times where his instinct was to move and leave, and sometimes that caused sacks more than other issues. But he really matured. He has a great understanding of the game now and what we're trying to do offensively with him. He's getting better understanding what defenses are trying to do, and he's got great poise. So if we can get him to throw the ball down the field and be accurate with his passes, that'll open up his ability to run the ball even more.
Other questions for Coach? Coach, I'll ask one from the podium right here to your right. Aside from winning games and winning championships, how do you measure whether or not a season is successful, whether the upcoming year or past years?
Yeah, the number one way that I measure a season is how we improve as it goes on. What is our attitude? What are we doing in practice? And how do we overcome obstacles? Because that really is so much of college football. It's a long season now. The conference that we're in is very, very competitive. Every team we play is going to have good players and be very well coached. So the challenge for us is to be able to win games in the fourth quarter, which takes attitude, discipline, and depth. So the better we practice, the more depth we develop. We've been able to see guys that don't play a lot in the first 4 games of the year help you win games the last 2 or 3 games of the year. So we're going to work hard at practicing hard and get better as the year goes on.
Coach, far left, we're going to go all the way back towards the post with the likeness.
Through here, yes,
We'll get the mic going.
Can you speak to Devontae Fields and the guy that we saw at the end of last year? You think that'll be more the guy you saw more of this year as opposed to the guy that maybe took a little while to get going?
Yeah, I think we got a good chance to see that early in the season this year. Devontae joined us late last year. He came in right in August, the day before we started camp. And as you're talking to him over the summer, it's like, yeah, did you work out today? Did you run? Did you lift? And the question is always, yeah, well, how much? I worked hard. But when they're not with the team and they're not doing the conditioning that our strength staff is having our team do, you don't get in the same type of shape. So what happened was he came in, he got very sore, his body ached, he broke down a little bit, and it took him a while to get back. Also, he hadn't played for a while, so his instincts and his abilities were rusty. And what happened, he just got better and better and better each week. And I think the last six weeks of the season, he was as dominant player as we've had the luxury to coach. He can really rush the passer. He's very smart in the run game, so he can fall off blocks and make tackles in the run game. He understands protections, so he not only can utilize his abilities, but his mind on how to beat and attack protection. So I think he should have a great year for us. He needs to stay healthy, and we need to find matchups for him where he can utilize his ability.
So one more call. Any other questions for Coach and Louisville? One last question here to our right, second row, back to Bob Holloway.
Your team was near the top of the league in most defensive categories. We haven't talked about defense just yet. Yet at the same time, maybe the challenge was larger this year because looking at the returning players in the league, like 90% of the offensive stars are back, including Lamar, of course. On the defensive side of the ball, how good are the offensive players in this league, and what's the challenge that awaits your defense, even with all the people you have coming back?
Yeah, you're right. When you look at the offensive weapons that we're going to face, you got a couple guys that are definitely front runners for the Heisman. You got speed, you got size, you got some good offensive line coming back. So certainly our defense sees that as a challenge. What we've been able to do on defense is, number one, stop the run. We've been great with our defensive front, keeping our linebackers free. Our secondary has been able to recognize run, pass, and help fits in the run game. And that puts pressure on the offenses now to throw the ball. And then what we've been good at is harassing and hitting and sacking the quarterback. Something we've been able to do with the 4-man rush, 5-man rush, or our pressure packages where we bring 6 guys. and what that has led to is turnovers. So I think it all kind of works together. If we can stop the run, tackle well, then you put offenses in a situation where they have to throw the ball. And now we've got some good pass rush guys and some good schemes to get after their pass protection, guys that can cover long enough to give us a chance to get to the quarterback and create turnovers. And we have smart players on defense. They really do a good job of teaching the scheme. Our guys understand the scheme, so we're able to make adjustments as the game goes on. And that's one of the great challenges in coaching, is to get better as the game goes on, so that you're a better team in the second quarter than you were in the first, and a better team in the second half than you were in the first half. And I really feel like our defense has been able to do that.
Coach, thank you. Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much.